Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us for this latest episode of Big Brother's Big Archive. My name is Karl Bainbridge, and joining me as ever, my co-host, Mr. Karl Dutton.
Hello, 2 goals for the price of 1. It's like a Christmas deal.
And Mr. Joseph Tilley.
Bonner.
And we welcome everyone to this festive edition of Big Brother's Big Archive, as this is our 2013 Christmas special. Haven't got anything Christmassy planned in our production. We might get Joe to sing a carol at some point.
Maybe make an eye out of tinsel or something.
Yes, something like that. But we decided for this Christmas special, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. And we've just got to say a bit of a backstory for the reasons why we decided to do this, which was that originally we planned that we were going to do Celebrity Big Brother 5 as our next podcast. It was the next one on the list. We've been planning to do it for a while, and that was originally the plan. And then we talked about it, and then we realised, do people really want to hear about the negativity that happened in this series over a festive period? The dark cloud that hangs over the franchise, the racism, all the controversy that came from that. And I mean, unless you're Tim Burton, that sort of thing doesn't really belong at Christmas.
Yeah, it's the, to use a reference of another thing we speak about, it's the Chris Benoit of Big Brother,
Yes, definitely a no-go area. And I mean, we are going to discuss Celebrity 5 at some point, but not this week. What we did end up talking about, we needed to do a show over the Christmas period, and we started talking about Ultimate Big Brother. And we thought to ourselves, Ultimate Big Brother, yes, it served its purpose as nostalgia for the Channel 4 era. But there were a lot of people and a lot of big names which, for whatever reason, didn't get their opportunity to compete in Ultimate Big Brother 1. So what we all decided to do is we would all put together our own 16-person hypothetical all-star casts. 8 males, 8 females. And what we do is we talk between each other, talk about our choices, the reasons why we chose them, have a good laugh about it, and a bit of fun, and maybe you can get involved at some point by commenting on the YouTube page. And I'm really looking forward to this one, lads.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Are we going to, before we get into it, are we going to explain our lists and all that?
Well, one thing I do want to do is actually want to clear up a couple of ground rules, because some people will inevitably say, oh, why didn't you choose this one? Why didn't you choose these people? Well, there were 2 main ground rules that we put together when we put this together. The first one is we decided no celebrity housemates. I think a lot of us agree that the inclusion of them in the first Ultimate Big Brother wasn't the best idea, so we decided that we're not going to do it this time. So,
other than Coolio, they didn't really add much, did they?
Coolio versus Nadia.
Yeah, that was really the only thing that a celebrity housemate gave us. And I mean, we sacrificed people like, spoiler, for in my case, Ashley, and got Vanessa Feltz instead, which I think is a real trade down. So no celebrity housemates. So Jackie Stallone, Pete Burns, unfortunately not going to be allowed to be included.
Aww.
And the other one is we're not going to do what Survivor does and constantly bring back the same all-stars year upon year.
or American Big Brother.
Yes. If they had their way, it'd be Rachel and Dan back every single season.
Oh God, not Rachel.
I know, awful. But we'll get to that at some point, because I do like American Big Brother myself. But the likes of Brian, Nadia, Nikki Graham, Victor, etc., some of those big names from the first Ultimate Big Brother aren't going to be on any of our lists. So before we get started, I'm just going to let all 3 of us just explain their lists a bit, and we're going to start with you, Joe.
Okay, well, my list consists of no Channel 5 era, because I just hate Channel 5 era Big Brother so much. It's got 3 winners, which I'll name later. Loads of big characters, some are favourites, some I hate, some I just really get on my nerves, and I think it's a really good mix. I think that sometimes I think that if they'd been put in the same house in the same series, they would have got on really well. But, in this, I've chosen for this podcast.
And what about you, Karl?
Yeah, for me, it was a case of, obviously 5 was the one that had, in terms of, some of them, one of the most star power in terms of memorable housemates. But the problem was that 5 was mined for those memorable housemates already in the first Ultimate. So there is no Big Brother 5 contestant in my list for that reason, because all the memorable ones, other than perhaps Jason, were already used in the original one. So what are you going to do? Put freaking I don't know, Stuart in there or something?
I
Yeah.
disagree with that.
Well, Stuart's
and I'll
only
tell you
really-
later why.
Stuart's
Yeah.
only really worthwhile, in my opinion, when you got Michelle with him.
Yeah, and then plus,
I
I think the other thing you have to remember is I think a lot of these people are different people now than who they were. They're wise to how the show works a little bit more, and I don't know if they'd be the same people. But I'm going on the assumption, as I'm assuming you guys are, that we're almost taking them out of time, and they're going in there as the people they were in the series they were in. Or at least, what they showed us. I mean, with some, I've taken into account who they've become afterwards. But let's just say that, for instance, Grace is still a bitch. So yeah, let's just assume that as that goes on. The other thing on my list is I do have... Now, I had my list done, and then I completely revised it and did it again last night, because as I was going through, I had a lot of similar characters, plus when I went through it, my list is very entertainment, quote unquote, / villain heavy already, but it was even more so, and I realised I had to take a few of those out. Like, as I said, Jason was initially on my list. I took him out and replaced, because I had people who were similar, and I needed, you need that side of, the nice people, but the entertaining nice people to go against the dickheads. To make the show entertaining. I completely revised my list. I do have a lot of people from... I have one person from pre-5, because there's nobody else really worth taking, and who's not dead. And I do have somebody from 12, 13, and 14. So I've tried to cover a lot of things, and a lot of different types. Just try and make the best, most entertaining show I can, with the people that are left that weren't mined for the original one.
I've gone for a very similar sort of cast for you to you, Carl. I've gone the same sort of way in that I've chosen a lot of people mainly purely for entertainment value, rather instead of people who I feel would maybe work together. I have got some quite similar housemates. There's quite a few people who fill the similar sort of archetype. But I just think you've got to appreciate the entertainment that they brought to their respective series. And that's what I've gone on. I've gone for the most entertaining, biggest characters from each series. Try to get as many of them as I could, and just hope that it works.
Yeah, and I don't know about you. I when I was doing it, I started thinking, right, okay, I'm going to put that person in because, man, God, the dire rooms. And you started thinking, wow, that person and that person could group up, and you almost started fantasy booking the show in your head, almost.
Oh, and don't get me wrong, I've got examples of that. I've got pre-existing relationships from previous series, which I could develop and go on as Ultimate Big Brother 2 potentially could. I maybe haven't been as strongly against the pre-Big Brother 5 era as what you have. I've got three of them from pre-Big Brother 5 and 3 of them from the Channel 5 era. But that actually wants to bring me on to a point which I sort of, to clarify, before we started the show, we did talk about this and we did assess our cast on a whole. And you two both said you basically overlooked the Channel 5 era, you basically overlooked the pre-B5 era. What do you think it was about that golden age of Big Brother 5 to Big Brother 11 that got the casting so right in a way which those other two eras didn't?
Well, actually, I've got quite a few from pre-Series 5. I think it's 5. So, but I just think that between 1 and 5, it was just... It was kind of just getting used to Big Brother, getting used to what they could bring and how evil Big Brother could be. And then I think the casting, as I say over the podcast, it's gone up and down with good characters, bad characters, bitches, dicks, all sorts.
Well, I'd say that the golden era really was 5 till 7. I do think the other ones after that did get good and stuff like that, but it was never quite the same after the Jay Goody thing and all that. But I do have 3 people from the Channel 5 era. I've tried to cover that, kind of, because I have enjoyed, a lot of elements about the Channel 5 era, but it's just, I can't get past the production.
Yeah.
It's just when you watch that old show, it's not just nostalgia, but it's like the production is treating it seriously, so you're treating it seriously. Everything is perfect. The sound effects, the way the voices of the producers as Big Brother talk, everything is perfect. And I think the initial stages, the reason I haven't got for many of them is because that was when it was much more of a social experiment and where it was much more of a pure what it was supposed to be. And then after that, they to the entertainment value, started manipulating a lot more and doing twists and stunts and everything they could to, make these people, go off the wall, and they started casting absolute nut jobs. And that's what happened. But, but to the credit, that's when the series got really entertaining, so you can't really blame.
But I think we've done enough padding. I think we need to get on with this. We're going to go from Joseph to you, Karl Dutton, and then to me. One person each, and then we'll do a cycle. Try and alternate male and female if you can. And we'll start with Joe. Who's your first choice, Joe?
My first choice is the Big Brother 1 winner, Craig.
Craig Coates. Interesting choice. And would you like to explain that one for us?
Craig Phillips.
Craig Phillips. Sorry, Craig Coates was Big Brother 6. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. I chose Craig because as the winner, I thought afterwards he didn't get much. I thought he would have maybe been invited back for the first Ultimate Big Brother, but they didn't, and I was a bit disappointed. So
he was in that task, wasn't he? The building task.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought it would have been better as a housemate.
I think I remember reading somewhere that Craig was actually approached to do Ultimate Big Brother, but he said, I don't have the time to do it. I'll come in as a guest, but not as a housemate.
Yeah, I think the problem with the ones who made it big and got a career elsewhere is they didn't need the money, and they don't really want to do it again. There was a lot of ones like that from the big star power winners.
I can understand that choice, especially from an iconic point of view, because Craig being the first Big Brother winner, he's in some ways sort of like the Richard Hatch. He's the benchmark that every other previous winner gets judged by. But I do have some sort of grievances with Craig, which is that when you look back at Big Brother 1, what story did Craig have? I mean, for me, there was two big moments for me, which was confronting Nick and giving away the money. And that's sort of it for me.
Yeah, I think him getting nominated every week, people started feeling sorry for him, and then he stood up to the evilness, and that made him popular. And then on top of that, and I hate to say this because it wasn't meant as a thing to win, but dedicating it to his disabled sister didn't hurt.
Yeah, Craig had the win in the bag the moment he mentioned that. And I mean, nothing wrong with that, giving the money to a good cause, great feel-good moment, but I like to judge him as a housemate, and I think I struggle to do so at times with Craig. I understand the choice, and I think it's a good choice. It's just that's one of the main reasons why I didn't go for it.
Right. Okay.
No, it's okay, George. Yeah, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Do you have anything more to say about Craig?
Nope.
And then we'll move on to Karl Dutton.
Okay, my first one is from the first Elstra one, Big Brother 3. Of course, I can't choose the most memorable character from here because she's dead, and I can't choose the winner because she vows never to speak of the show ever again. So I'll go for the second evictee, Alison.
Alison, good choice.
The reason I go for her is because I don't think she showed all that she had to give. When she was there. She has a lot of charisma, and she's had a hell of a career since, so I think she'd bring that side of her that we've seen on, daytime television since Into the House with her.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that one, and I have to admit, when Big Brother 3 was probably one of the first series that I've really started getting into, and I mean, Alison was just this great bundle of fun, had a lot of great funny moments. I mean, can anyone remember the garden table?
Yes. Yeah.
Jumping up to try and see over the wall, and she ends up breaking it.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that, and she has got loads of personality. The one worry I would have with Alison, though, I remember her I'm a Celebrity appearance. I remember she was in that series, didn't really do much, and went down quite early again. And I mean, maybe hypothetical, maybe the Big Brother 3 Alison returning again would be good. Do you have anything more to say about Alison at all?
No.
Well, that's that first choice done. So we got Alison for Karl, and we got Craig Phillips for Joseph. Now, my first choice, I'm going to put my first male in, and I've gone for another Big Brother 3 housemate, Alex Sibley.
Pretty much for the dancing moment, right?
Well, the dancing moment's a good part of him, but I love the fact that Alex, in a way, sort of broke a lot of the pre-show expectations of him. I mean, I think a lot of people looked at him and thought he was going to be the Dale or the Stewart of his series, just this pretty boy that wouldn't really do much. But I think he broke all those expectations and became a massive character in spite of that. I mean, he was very entertaining. He had sort of an element of campness to him as well. I mean, I'm not saying he was ever out and fabulous, but I think there was this fun factor to him which I liked about him. Of course, there was the dancing moment, but I think there was that obsession with cleanliness, the feud with Johnny, I think, which is great. And I mean, I love the fact that Alex also tried to be this sort of like house father figure, and just ended up completely losing his way with them. I remember when Jade and Adele had that argument over Veruca, and the one thing that always remembers me is Alex just screaming over the both of them, trying to get their attention, trying to get them to calm down.
Yeah.
Which I just thought was hilarious. But also as well, I think Alex, for a pre-Big Brother 5 housemate, would still belong in a modern climate, in a modern Big Brother environment. Because he's still a good-looking chap, he's still very charismatic, he's still good fun. And I think that would make a good housemate, in my opinion. I could see him winning it, to be honest. Any critiques, any issues?
No, I like him. I haven't watched that series since it was on, so I don't remember much about it. That was the problem.
Is he the one that stood behind the door and looked at the camera?
Yeah, that was that. That's all I remember because it gets sprayed. My clear memories begin about 10 years ago, where with 5 onwards, that's when I really started getting into it and remember a lot of it.
I think Big Brother 3 is definitely worth rewatching though, because there were so many big characters in that series.
Yeah.
But so Alex is my first choice, and so that's our first draft picks done, gents. Let's move on to our second ones, and back to Joe.
Okay, back to me. My second is from Big Brother 2, and it's my favourite person who loves blinking. It's Helen Adams.
Helen Adams, good choice. Actually, I've gone for Helen as one of my choices as well, so we'll be working together on this one. I'll let you go first.
Well, I just think that she was underestimated as a housemate. I think she was absolutely brilliant and hilarious, and then not many people thought of much of her, and I just thought she was brilliant.
I think so as well, because I think the thing with Helen for me, I don't really say about Big Brother 1. In my opinion, Helen was the first example of that sort of lovable dimwit character that you see on nearly every Big Brother series afterwards.
Yeah.
But I think she was the most genuine one with it. I think since then there's sort of been this contrivance of idiocy that led to the likes of the Bellows coming into the world and led to the sort of Towie generation. Helen for me though was the first example of the lovable dimwit, and she was the best example of it because she was endearing with it. I didn't feel her idiocy came across as contrived. But also, I felt that the way that she grew with the audience, because a lot of the audience hated Helen when she started out, and she won them over by showing this endearing quality to her. But one thing I like as well, from like a legacy point of view with Helen, she was involved in what was, in my opinion, the first Big Brother showmance, the relationship between her and Paul. And I think as well, that's probably up there as one of the top 3 showmances ever. Again, because of how genuine it was. And I'd be interested to see how a modern audience would handle a Helen character now. Because I think the patience that the Big Brother 2 audience showed in allowing her to grow, in allowing the showmans to get a chance, won't be there for this series. So if a Helen of Big Brother 2...
The series has changed so much. Back then, it was about watching real people. Now it's about watching a freak show and monkey dance.
Yeah.
I mean, Helen did have some freak show aspects to her. She was dippy. She was fun.
And it's before she realised that would make her popular. It's before anybody realised that having a relationship on television would get you popular. It was, the prototype that everybody has copied to try and get that winning formula since.
I could say that, but so Helen's one of my choices though, and I think she's a good one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of your choices as well, Joe. So 2 for us too. We'll move on to you, Karl. Who have you gone for?
I'm going all the way to 3 years later because I didn't have any for 4. No. And I didn't have any for 5 because they were all taken in the last Ultimate. So my first one is Science.
Oh, fantastic. I've gone for Science as well, to be honest as well.
Oh, marvellous. I love Science.
Now, I don't know what he's like now, but the angry young man that he was, and the arrogant, just absolute, I'm right, you're wrong, and when you start arguing back to me, I'm going to just yell noises over you and tell you to shut up and throw things at you. He was literally every single day in that house, he managed to find an argument with somebody else.
Yeah.
Like literally, it seemed like every day there was a new argument, and it was always involving him. Almost, it was just one of the most argumentative series ever, and he was a really big part of it. I think, hell, there was an argument over the way that he cut a chicken up. I think.
Yes, Science didn't want to eat the bum of the chicken, so he cut off half the chicken.
Go ahead with the rest of it.
I'm very similar to you. I just love Science for the amount of arguments that he got into, and of course, arguments on a show like this are absolute necessity, and the Science brings that massively. But also as well, I think I've done a completely 180 on him from when I first watched Big Brother 6 when I was a kid. And I saw Science as just this loudmouth idiot. I just couldn't abide him, and I wanted him out as early as I could. I've done a complete 180 on him since then. And I mean, while Science was confrontational, I always felt he was nearly always right in what he had to say. He was outspoken about
And he
it.
was never nasty. Like, there's a difference in between just being argumentative and being a prick to everybody, and being really entertaining when you're doing it.
Yes.
Like, you know, that's the thing. He knew what he was doing. He was charismatic and came up with really good, snappy lines. You know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah, because, I mean, can you remember the Three Tweedles? I mean, that's a snarky, nasty comment. It was just so funny because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One question I would have about Science, though, is that how do you think a more mature Science would handle Ultimate Big Brother 2?
I think it'd be
From the arguments.
Yeah. I definitely think he would be if he was the same person, he might have grown up now. If he was the same person, him, along with a couple of the others, would either join up with the other people of those kind, but more likely get into a blistering argument with the majority of these people.
Yeah, I think Science is a fantastic choice. And I mean, I love him watching Big Brother 6 back now. Maybe I wasn't too keen on him the first time round. Great choice. Thank you very much, Karl. So, if I'm right in saying at the moment, I think we've got 3 for me at the moment and 2 for the 2 of you.
No, I was with Alison on Karl, so that's 3.
Oh, so you've got Alison. So we're 3. So it's 3 for me, 3 for Joe, and 2 for Karl. So Karl, you have another choice to use up.
Okay, so for me, the next one is similar to that camp. It is Derek.
Oh, fantastic. Derek Lord. Actually, you've got another one of me as well.
Absolutely ghastly.
Like, it was between him and Ben, and he was not only the original, he was more... Like, he is literally the stereotype of everything British, but he's a black man. It's just such a contradiction, but at the same, he's just such a fascinating character to watch. I mean, yes, he got nasty, and he was very nasty at times, you know, especially to Sam and things like that early on. I think he did get just absolutely manipulative and nasty later on, but just that character, who he is, and how entertaining he was, you know, with the BNP comment about Science, and, you know, just some of the things he did and said. That is a character. That is who he is. And they put him in there to be who he is, and there's nobody like him in the world.
I couldn't have said it better myself, but spoiler alert, I actually did go for Ben for one of my choices, and I'll explain why later. But I've gone for Derek as well, and for very similar sort of reasons. I love the fact that Derek, in some ways, it's quite strange for Derek, because in some ways he was sort of too good for the show, and in others he was just as mad as the rest of the Big Brother 6 cast. I mean, I love the fact that one day Derek would be in the diary room saying how he hated being with all these ghastly people, and then on another day he's imagining monkeys hanging from the ceiling and he's dressing with drag, flirting with Roberto.
Yeah.
I just love that with him, because he was just as nuts as the best of them. Maybe if he didn't show that. He was also very witty with a lot of use of remarks, and very intelligent. Probably more too intelligent for the show in a straight way. He was provocative. He made a lot of comments which I didn't personally agree with, but again, he got himself in arguments. He had the feud with Science as well. I think,
yeah.
Remember that he and Science didn't really get on too well, so I'd like to see how that continues. And I love the fact as well, he had a good story arc as well in terms of how he was perceived by the public, because I think when Big Brother 6 happened, I don't think a lot of people liked Derek when they went in. He was definitely not one of the favourites at all. And then the fact that he ended up coming out, and on the finale night, probably got the best reaction of any of the other previous evictees.
Yeah.
So I sort of like that story arc of acceptance that he had. And I mean, there's no way that Derek would ever do Big Brother again.
No.
But my God, how great would it be if he did?
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
And just for him, that those two in the house with some of the people I've picked, especially from the 7, 8, and 9 years. Oh my god! Like, talk about arguments every day. Again, if they were the same people.
Well, there's a reason why Big Brother 6 is considered so well liked by everybody, because it was just an argument every day.
Yeah, and okay, let's not get me wrong. Arguments aren't always, you know, that's not what the show should always be about. It shouldn't be arguments all the time and all that kind of stuff. You should have nice moments and that as well. But dear God, are arguments fun? Like when you tune in and you see, you know, oh my God, what are they arguing about this time? And you get somebody's throwing a trash bin at somebody. You know, that makes you tune in more than anything else.
Sides for the bit of Maxwell's one of my favourite comedy Big Brother moments, just from out of nowhere.
It's like they're having a joke and a laugh, and then all of a sudden, fuck you, and then throws a bit at him. What?
Yeah.
So, if I've got this right, that's 4 choices for me, 3 choices for you, Karl, and 3 choices for Joe. So, Joe, we're going to move on to your next one, choice number 4.
Okay, my next one is from Big Brother 5, and this person is full of drama. It's Marco.
Marco. Now, this is going to be an interesting one. I know.
I can tell Karl doesn't like me already.
No, you can have him, but as long as I can mute the screen every time he comes on.
Yes, that's a given.
I'd love to hear this. I'd love to hear this one. Joe, tell us a bit why you chose Marco.
I chose Marco because I just think that he was such an... I didn't choose him because I like him. I do like him, but he was such a big troublemaker. He is the one who started Fight Night.
I think so, yes. He definitely scores Fight Night.
But he's so regretful of who he was now, and he's such a completely different person now.
Have you seen the interviews with him since he left Big Brother? He's grown his hair out, he's grown a bit of designer stubble. He talks much more macho, if I'd put it that way.
He just talks in his normal voice, and he's like, I can't believe what I was like, I hate who I was, I wish I hadn't gone on the show because it ruined my life. Like, literally.
Yeah.
But I mean, I totally understand your concept, and I mean, he was part of the Lip Gloss Bitches, which is probably one of the most well-known alliances in Big Brother history. I always felt, though, with the Lip Gloss Bitches, Marco was probably the character with the least depth, in my opinion, of those 3, arguably 4 people.
He was just that, all the others had something else to him, because his was a mask. His was a character he created for himself.
Yes, yeah.
But I mean, a good choice, Joe, and I mean, I can imagine the Marco of Big Brother 5, especially if you had him with, like, a science in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Shut up, man! What are you doing? Prancing around here.
But good choice, Joe. I definitely like that one. And Karl, I think that's you next. You have draft pick number 4.
Number 4, finally another woman, Aisling.
Aisling, good choice. Good choice. I've actually gone for Aisling as well, but I'll let you go first.
Well, yeah, again, it's the other one of the twosome. We already got one of them with Nikki that went to last time. This is the other one that's the most memorable from this series. She had a good story in there, completely changed, and she came out and became the same person again. She's a nice girl, but dear God, you rile her up and she's still got that personality. She's still feisty to this day, so I think she'd still, she'd still bring the entertainment value to the show, and I think she'd be much more like she was in those first couple of weeks after, post having some celebrity that she had with Mike Tyson and all that.
You see, I always think Aisling and Olaf are the same.
No.
It's like the same kind of character.
No, Olaf was just a misery guts to me.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy Olaf at all.
No, and Aisling was involved in so many bigger moments. She was, more dramatic, more charismatic. She was a bigger character in every single way.
Yeah. The only thing I remember Olaf for was the fact that she ended up, intentionally or not, ended up getting rid of Science and Kamal in respective weeks. And I can't forgive her for that.
And she was the other one who just kind of got out of the way when Makosi and Anthony,
Yeah. That's all I remember really about Olaf. But you're entitled to your opinion, Joe. I mean, I don't personally agree with it myself, because I've chosen Aisling as one of my choices as well. In my opinion, Aisling has one of the best story arcs of any Big Brother female. The fact that she came in as this almost wigger, like over-the-top, sassy bitch character, and maybe you expected by production to just be this fodder that would just go pretty easily. I think the personal journey which she had was as much of a self-discovery as it was part of a television show. I mean, the way that Aisling grew as a character and almost became really resentful towards that ghetto persona that she presented to herself in the audition. That really warmed her to a lot of people. I think she was confrontational, but I don't think she was ever overly obnoxious with it. I mean, she had the feud with Leah, the feud with Nikki, which was absolutely entertaining. I mean, the fact that to this day, you still have people on internet forums who are either staunchly pro Nikki and could not abide Aisling, and those pro Aisling lot who absolutely couldn't abide Nikki. I mean, the feud between them was amazing to see, even on the forums and on the show. And I mean, for that, Aisling needs to be on there because I think she is such an iconic character through the feud with Nikki.
Yeah, and once Nikki was gone, the show was never the same after that. That was when the show went downhill.
So yeah, I've gone for Aisling, and I mean, as Karl said, if you watch Aisling when she makes her appearances on Bit on the Side, she still obviously follows the show because she's very in touch with what the forums have to say. She's still very feisty. She's still very likable, and I think she would provide a lot of entertainment if she was on there.
Yeah.
You're okay to disagree if you want, Joe.
No, I do agree. I do like Aisling,
So we'll move on then. I'm just going to do a checklist here. I believe I've got 5 people of my 16 children so far. Karl, you're on 4. Joe, you're on 4. So Joe, you're next.
Okay. Next on my list is my favourite, and I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. I think people know what it is if I say Cookie!
What?
Yes,
Why did I see that one coming? I have to say, Joy is probably the biggest cat fan that I know on the internet.
Okay, she was fun and she was likable, but she was also extremely one-dimensional. But go on.
Well, she was one-dimensional, but I think she was one of the biggest game players. I've chosen her as a villain more than a hero.
Wow, you really think that was all put on?
Yeah, I think it was all put on.
Okay.
In my opinion. Well, she was sweet. She was sweet at times. I think sometimes she was genuine, but she played games to make people vote her way, which I think is pretty evil. So I think, if it came to that again, I think it would be a brilliant Ultimate Big Brother.
I'd sort of have to take Joe's side here. I don't think the cat was like supremely evil in the way that like a child on a Grace was. But I do think there was this strategic side to her, because if you ever noticed how she was the one who kept B Block together as a solid voting block, and every Monday she would tell of the 2 housemates who had broken her heart that week.
Yeah.
Of course, them 2 ended up getting nominated, ended up getting evicted, and of course nobody ever suspected it because of the fact she hid behind a sweet innocent cookie gimmick.
Yeah.
I think Kat was a fun character, and I mean, I understand why Kat has been chosen. Personally, I just love her because of her eviction. Her eviction was just one of the best people at the moment.
Don't.
We've got that one coming up, haven't we? 9.
I think that's been done, unfortunately.
Oh, god damn it! Oh well. we've got 8 coming up.
I think the next one, I think it's Celebrity 5, and then we do Series 7.
Okay, that's even better. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm looking forward to doing 7.
Oh, I can't wait for that one.
So that's draft pick number 5 for Joe. We're going to move on to you, Karl.
Okay, similar vein as the last one, Grace.
Grace.
Horseface Grace.
Horseface was quite attractive.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if she'd have to be around the right people. I don't know if she'd do the same things knowing what she knows. I know she's a mother and all that now, but let's just say...
Is she?
Yeah.
Yes, her and Mikey.
Oh.
The most successful showmance of all time. Isn't it funny that all the hero romances always go wrong in weeks, but the villain ones stay together? But yeah, let's just say that she was the same person. That manipulative, bitchy person would be a great sort of element to sort of egg on all the other argumentative people.
Oh, yes.
Definitely.
Science.
And I think Grace was definite ringleader in a way that someone like a Science wasn't. Grace could potentially take someone like Science under her wing and lead this cult, because I personally have... Because Grace, in my opinion, played a great social game for those early weeks that she was there. I mean, the fact that she had nobody suspecting what she was doing in the house,
But was she doing something? That I see. I know she was very bitchy and manipulative, but I think that was just her being a bitch. I don't know whether she was playing any sort of game. She was just playing a game. She was in the cool group that were taking everybody down.
But she never had anybody suspecting her of being evil, in the way that what I mean.
She wasn't evil. She's just a stuck-up bitch.
Nicely said.
Well, the one thing I've always wondered about Grace is how far do you think she would have gone if the golden ticket twist didn't happen, which basically orchestrated her departure?
Not more than a couple of weeks, because the get her out, get Grace out chance were going every single week, and the producers would have found a way to give them that.
Yeah, the production always go for the short-term answer rather than the long-term. But yeah, I understand why Grace has been chosen, because I have to be honest, I came very, very close to choosing Grace for my cast as well. And I'll explain who I cut her for later on. I think you might have some ideas, very similar sort of housemates. But we're all at 5 each, so we're going to move on to Joe, who's going to get draft pick number 6.
My next one is, oh yes, he's cooking an egg for the very first time. It's Glyn.
The original, what was his name this year? Sam.
I love the fact we can't even remember his name. He won the series and we don't know who he is.
Well, he was that forgettable. Yeah, my choice is Glyn because I just think that he was a brilliant character. There's been no one else, apart from Helen, possibly, in the house that's been like Glyn. He was just, everything he said was funny. I mean, sabotaging Nikki in the Welsh challenge was just the best thing I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, he's on my list as well.
Hey!
Because again, he's one of those memorable characters from that series. We saw him change from this boy into a man in the show. But he had an edge to him. He wasn't just this sweet, innocent guy. He was on the side of the bad guys in a lot of people's eyes. But because he was sweet and lovable, they kind of forgave him for it. And I think he'd be an interesting character now, because if you look at him and his opinions now, I think he much more sides with the people that the general public hate these days, and I think he'd be much more of a villain.
I can say that, actually. I could say that. I think as well. One of the sort of issues with Glyn was that Glyn always, for me, came across as a follower rather than a leader. Because in the early stages, he was following Grace and he was following Mikey, and then he was latched on to Pete later on in the series. And I think as well, another thing with Glyn was one of the good aspects about Glyn with his storyline was that he was the sweet, innocent version locked up in this sort of sexualized house. But of course, now he's come out. Is that appeal of Glyn as the sweet, innocent boy discovering himself going to appeal again in the second series?
No, he's 25 years old now. He's the same age as me.
Blimey. But yeah, I understand why you've chosen Glyn. Personally, I haven't done it. The person who I've gone for, this is my draft pick number 6. I'm trying to find my list here. I've gone for a male and I've gone for Rex.
I've got him on my list as well.
Well, I hate both.
Go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, Rex is just, let's be honest, Rex is just a blatant wind-up person. But he is absolutely hilarious with it. I think if you want to use sort of like wrestling analogies here, he's the perfect example of a tweener. The sort of guy who just, you're supposed to hate, but he's got so much charisma and so much personality that you just find yourself liking him. Whether it was because he was on the side of B Block or not, I just found myself really endeared to him when deep down I knew I sort of shouldn't. He was lovable in spite of being flawed, and I'd be intrigued to see how he would be appreciated on his own merit rather than being on the right side of a house divide.
Yeah, good luck with that.
And I also think, earlier on he was, kind of the favourite to win, I think, after the whole big argument happened and everything. But then, of course, his other side came out and he just got bored and was moaning about how he was bored. And then now he decided to combat that boredom was winding everybody up. And he was almost part of the production at that point. Like, every day he found a new way to wind somebody up and start something. So that was great. And also with him, I think he said what everybody else was thinking.
Yes.
A lot of the time.
Yeah.
I always hate the fact that Nicole came in. I think he would have had a good chance of winning if not for Nicole.
I think that was to so he wouldn't leave. I think in the production's mind they did that because they thought he was going to walk.
Yeah.
Of course, you disagree with this, Joe. Is there any reason why you didn't choose Vex?
I just didn't choose Rex because I thought it was a good character, a good villain, but I just can't see him I can see him being shadowed by some of the other choices we've made.
Yeah, but that's kind of the. I think he and the person I've got elsewhere would team up, and I think Glyn would be their follower, and I can imagine the arguments that they would have with science.
I'm just imagining this cast in my head. It just sounds absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it just sounds.
Well, the other person I'm getting who I think is going to team up with him is a person who he already interacted with, which we'll get onto later.
Well, we will move on, and I believe, Carl, you're in the lead. You're on to 7 picks right now, so that means Joe and me both have 1 remaining. Joe, who's your next pick?
My next pick is one of the most underrated housemates that I saw and I thought was absolutely marvellous and should have won if she hadn't left, and that is Kitten Pinder.
Now that's an interesting one, because you're basically justifying bringing back a walker. Why do you do that? Well, an ejectee, I should say.
Well, I thought I'd bring her back because I don't know why. I'm not sure. I can't remember the terms of why she left.
She got kicked out because she repeatedly broke the rules and went in the diary room and said, I want to break the rules, and I came in this show to defy authority. She was being that.
Well, I thought she just walked off. I thought she just went
No,
off
they actually put down a countdown. I watched it again recently. They put up a countdown and the money was going down, and they were all like, "Oh yeah, Kitten, stay." And then the money started going down. Get out of here!
Yeah, but I think she was underrated. I think she could have done a lot better, and if she hadn't walked. So I think a second chance would be, good.
I think Kitten's sort of story and character would have just got very tired very quickly. I mean, it was interesting and it was entertaining in that first week because this was the new evil Big Brother and we needed these over-the-top eccentric characters. I think if she had stayed any longer, I think we would have got very sick of it.
Yeah, I already was getting annoyed with the whole, we're going to fight against... Why come on a show called what it's called and say you're going to rage against the machine? It's not going to work. So it just got annoying with her, and I think the other thing was, I think we saw all of her we were going to see. I don't think there was any more dimensions to that. Plus, I don't know whether she's still that same piss and vinegar person. She could have turned straight now, for all we know.
I understand why, because Kitten was a big character, but I think you need more than 1 week to judge someone, because anybody can have a good first week and be justified as an all-star because of it. I mean... Hey, Jackie Travis had a good week. We're not clamoring for her to be an all-stars, are we?
No.
But, so that's one choice for you, Joe, and we're going to move on to my next choice. I don't think you're going to like this one, Joe, but I've gone for Freddie.
Okay.
Awesome pick. I almost put him in. There were so many guys that almost made this draft, except they had to be more females. My cast would have been entirely male almost, other than a couple, if it hadn't been that rule, but Karen.
Yeah, personally for me... Freddie has the best story of any housemate ever, in my opinion. I love that rise and fall that he had in the house, where he was basically this house-whipping boy. He was mocked by everyone. Everybody hated him. He was nominated 5 weeks in a row. And the fact that he grew in confidence, grew in power, grew in stature within the house, became too overconfident and too powerful as a result, and basically hoisted himself on his own petard. I think that he was brilliantly rootable when he was a protagonist. You really did support him and like him. And he was an over-the-top panto baddie when he was an antagonist. You really wanted to... It
was a bigger version of what Wolfie did this year. It's like, yeah, everybody loves me. I am great.
Probably in that sort of voice.
Yeah, and also, you did put Derek in your house, didn't you?
Yes, I did, yeah.
I'm just the garden, drinking tea, those two.
It'd be very funny though, because they were both very witty. But I love that storyline with Freddie though, because especially when he has so many Shakespearean aspects to his personality.
Yes, yeah.
To have an almost Shakespearean story, complete with B as his Lady Macbeth. I just think that's fantastic to have. But also as well, that relationship with B, that's going to be interesting to look at, because I believe they're on a much better standing right now. Mm-hmm. So I have to say, spoiler, I have put B in my cast. I'll explain why later. How that relationship develops in an ultimate Big Brother, whether it deteriorates and they start clashing with each other again, which is compelling viewing, or they become an evil power couple, which could be amazing to watch.
And also, this happened in the American All-Stars. I can imagine series almost grouping together, like Better the Devil I Know Than the Devil I Don't Know, and they almost group together as sort of their show against the other shows.
I could say that, yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, you're not the biggest Freddy fan as what we are, Joe. Is there any reason why you didn't choose him?
I just overlooked Freddy. It was just someone I didn't want to put in, basically.
Yeah, he's if one of my others dropped out, if one of my others walked, he would be my big surprise entrant.
That would have been good.
If I'm right in saying, I believe, Carl, you're on 8 choices, I'm on 7, Joe's on 7, Joe, you're next.
My next person in is the winner of Big Brother 7, Pete. Pete. Yay.
Good choice. Would you like to tell us why you chose Pete?
I chose Pete because I just want to see him again on the telly. Sometimes he was on Rex and then he just disappeared, so I'd love to see him on TV again.
Okay. Well, there's lots of people I'd like to see again as well, but...
Yeah, I mean, did he manipulate it at the end? Yes, but was he entertaining? Yes.
Oh, he was entertaining, definitely.
And he had a lot of good storylines in there, so...
Just going back to that manipulation storyline, it never sat well with me, that. And I sort of felt after hearing that image of Pete as this free-spirited, like almost hippie kid who was like in love with the animals, talked to the animals, and then just when he did that manipulation with his dead friend storyline, I just sort of felt, is this all right? Is this all contrived? And it never sat well with me after that.
Yeah.
But I understand the choice, and Pete was very entertaining, and he did have some good storylines. But that's sort of one of the reasons why I didn't go for him.
But it was all... Yeah. He was great in his moments, like especially his, like, when he was in the nightclub and all that stuff, but at the same time, it was an act. Like, that was him performing.
Yeah, that's what didn't sit well with me. But I understand why, Joe.
Yeah.
My next choice, I've realised that I've got a lot of males listed already, checked off, so I'm going to balance it up with a couple of females, and I'm going back to Big Brother 1 with Anna Nolan.
Ah.
With who? Sorry. Yep. Joseph's background noise went over who you said. What did you say?
I went for Anna Nolan of Big Brother 1, so I've gone really back to the future with this one. Now, I've chose this because if you mentioned with Alex Sibley, one of the things I liked about Alex was how he broke the stereotype of the model to become a bigger or over-the-top character than that. Anna's very similar in that her gimmick was lesbian nun. I mean, now that character type sounds amazing. You would love to have lesbian nun in Big Brother 15. But in spite of that, Anna went on probably to become one of the most normal, rootable, and engaging characters to the audience that I can think of. I mean, she was the heart and soul of that house. Almost mum-like in that sort of opinion, but she was dry, she was witty, she was extremely rootable. And in my opinion, had Craig not have had the moment with Nasty Nick, she wins that easy. Anything you two would like to say about Anna?
I don't remember much about the first series, so I can't.
I'm going to actually look forward to talking about Big Brother 1, because it's going to be so strange and so interesting to look at it when we get to it, because it was such a different show back then.
It's going to have to be one that I look up on Dirty Monkey 151.
I love that account. But also as well, I'm going to be interested to see how Anna would handle a modern Big Brother climate. Because in some ways I think she could handle it. Lesbian nun, good storyline, good gimmick, could work. But at the same time though, we saw with Nasty Nick in Ultimate Big Brother that really was maybe just a bit too tame by today's standards. I'm going to be interested to see how she would handle that.
Yeah, I think but the people who filled the houses back then would be the boring ones today, because we want everybody to be the over-the-top characters.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
But I believe we're all on 8 choices, so we're halfway there. And that means we're going to go back to you, Joe, for your choice number 9. Who's your right leaf?
Choice number 9 is... let's just say we better not bottle it. It's Kinga.
I've got her on my list as well. No, hang on, no, sorry, I didn't. I took her off. I replaced her with another person. Sorry, no, you're alone.
Kinga was a last-minute cut for me as well. But Joe, tell us what made you choose her.
I just think Kinga was hilarious. I think that her story, her not being a housemate, then her journey into being a housemate, and then all the stuff that happened after that, it was just brilliant. I just really enjoyed it.
the bottle incident.
Yes, and the bottle incident, maybe.
But again, I can't help but think that she'd just go in there and just be Makosi, but less entertaining. Like, she'd just be there being ashamed of herself, because now she's, 30 years old and looking back at herself 20 years old and going, oh my god. Like,
Yeah.
She was great fun, though. And also, with us choosing Derek as well, Kinga with Derek, considering them two got on surprisingly well. That would be quite interesting to see again, that reunion.
I don't think he would have if he'd found out what she'd done.
I'm sure he knew.
I don't think he did. I think Derek was asleep by the time the King...
Yeah. Oh my god.
That's awesome. The one issue I would have with King, I think it's an inspired choice, and I completely understand why it's chosen. It's the problem I'd have with Kinga is the same problem I'd have with someone like Sam Pepper, which is that, in my eyes, Kinga was made to look a lot better than what she was, because of the fact that all the other housemates by that point, they had 9 weeks in there, very tight, and here's this fresh energy coming in and looking so much better. How Kinga would do with a level playing field, with the same sort of big characters in at the same time, with that same sort of energy. That'd be interesting to see. I think she could handle it, because I think she's a big enough personality. But in Big Brother 6, she did sort of have an unfair advantage. You're okay to disagree if you want, Joe. This is one of...
No, I do agree with that. I definitely do.
Yep, so if I'm right in saying we're on to 9 picks for you two, which means I have one spare, I'm going to bump up my females, and I'm going to bump her up with someone who Joe doesn't like, but I think's great character, Charlie Uchia.
Yep, she's on my list as well.
Oh.
This one is actually on my list. I haven't got that one.
Charlie, for me, absolutely carried Big Brother 8. I mean, Big Brother 8 is, in my eyes, one of the worst series ever. I alternate 4, 8, and 12 as my worst series ever. 8 just down there as one of the absolute dregs. Charlie is the only reason for me to watch that series. She carried that show.
Why?
Well, she carried that show because the rest of them was so dull, but the amount of arguments, the amount of grief, she was just amazing for it, and just how much arguing she actually managed to do. The perfect example for me of a panto baddie. Because, yes, she did these over-the-top things, but she never took her seriously for it. You just thought, what a ridiculous fool you are.
Because not only just that, but she is the female science.
Yeah.
She, in every single way, she says things, but she gets so riled up and says all these things, and the lines that she comes out with are so good, posh spice, you wish you fucking, all that stuff. And then she calms down and is like, wow, I can't believe I said that, kind of thing. But just imagine the arguments between science and her.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Charlie would blatantly be the first person out, but I think she would just be such great entertainment.
Yeah, that first week of her in science would be brilliant. But also I don't think 8's one of the worst. I think it's underrated as a series. We'll definitely get to that if we cover it at some point. You already covered it, didn't you?
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah. So my part on that one is I just think it was. I think it came at a bad time and people reacted to it because it wasn't the show that it was for the last 3 years, that's all. But other than that, I think that, yes, she was the shining gem of that series. And if you're not going to put in a Brian Bello, it definitely her.
But because you didn't choose Charlie, Joe, is there any reason why you did that?
I don't think I need to explain why.
No, it's okay.
I just can't stand her. I really can't. It's just one of these people I hate.
I think you need that sort of character, though. I think you need someone who, deep down, you don't really like, but you sort of, the show needs someone like that to root against in that sort of way.
Yeah.
And I mean, Charlie didn't cross the line in the way that someone like an Alexandra or a Dennis did. It just became so supremely evil that you just couldn't abide them.
Yeah, it wasn't nasty. It was argument, and then she said these really entertaining things. Then she calmed down and went, sorry, and then she did it again the next day.
Yeah.
So if I'm right in saying, I believe, Karl, you've got 10 of your people on your list?
Yeah, I will eventually get to pick one that somebody else won't pick first.
So 10 for you, 9 for Joe, 9 for me. Joe, you have the next choice.
My next male is John Tickle.
John Tickle. So Big Brother 4 has a representative.
Yes, finally.
And let's be honest. I think John Tickle's the only realistic Big Brother 4 candidate you could have. I mean,
I thought there's another one later on my list.
I mean, Federico
Really?
stretch.
Yep.
Wow. He's definitely become famous since, but I think he's famous just for being the geeky guy who likes Star Wars. I don't think he has anything else to do with that. And I think he's a lovely guy, but I think he would be bewildered in the house, especially if you put him in a house like me and Karl have made. Dear Lord, he'd just be sitting there, standing back, climbing the walls. Get me out of this place. Just with wide eyes at the people he's been thrown in there with.
I think Tickle, more so than any other housemate, in my opinion, benefited from a weak series. I think in any other series, like a Big Brother 5 or a Big Brother 6, he gets lost in the mix-up. But because 4 was so poor, he ends up looking far better for it.
Yeah.
But it's your choice, Joe, and maybe you'll convince us.
Well, I chose John because I just thought that, well, as you said, he was just the geeky, sciencey guy. I haven't seen him on telly in such a long time. I just thought he was brilliant, and I thought, I haven't seen him in a while. I wonder if he's still the same geeky science guy who loves chickens. And, that's just it. That's why I chose him.
Speaking of chickens, I think that one of my things, speaking of Evil Big Brother, should be they should bring them back, and then on the last week they should have them, kill them and eat them.
Oh.
Like it's a forced task. This is mandatory. You have to chop the chicken's head off.
If you want £100,000, you have to kill the chicken.
Yep.
But
There'll be some housemates which would disagree with that, though. I mean, Darren from Big Brother 1, he'd hate that.
You don't think that Rex would be like, yep, give it
Oh,
here.
Rex would love it. I definitely do. There's a lot of stuff from those early series which they do need to bring back. But John Tickle isn't one of them for me. And I was it for Karl. I've got another choice left, draft number 10. I've got, I believe, five males, so I'm going to add another female. This is a controversial one. I was very close to choosing Grace for this one. I've gone for B.
Yeah, you got another one from a list.
Don't worry, Karl, you'll get one.
Yeah, I've got both of them in there, so.
And for me, it was just, I have to choose one and I have to choose the other, and I really couldn't choose between them. But I went with B because I think she had added complexity. I can't think of any other villain that I've become so enthralled by on Big Brother than I have with B.
She was so convinced that she was the good person.
And that's what makes it so amazing, because with the likes of a Grace or a Charlie, you sort of feel as if they're aware of the cameras, and they sort of ham up how bad they are so they know the airtime's on it. B genuinely thought she was in the right with everything she said and everything she did. And the delusion that she had, and the fact she couldn't say of how bad she was coming across, that's what made it so engaging, so interesting.
You absolutely did.
And I mean, I know you shouldn't get emotionally involved in shows like that, but the way she treated Freddie, that was the I ever got to wanting to reach into my telly and strangle her.
Because that, from a guy's point of view, you understand entirely what happened there.
Oh, it was so. I mean, you were watching it through your fingers. I mean, so.
He thought she was put in there, and they was like, yes, a girl I'm getting on with, this is going to work, I'm going to have a romance, and then she completely turned on him because of it.
I think B went in there thinking, I'm going to latch on to Freddie. Freddie's amazingly popular. We're going to ride this train to victory lane. And then once she realised that the Freddie of the edits was different to the Freddie in the house, and the way she started pulling away from him, but Freddie was still trying to cling on, the relationship between them two is amazing. And as I mentioned before, they're friends now, and I'd be interested to see how that would develop, because I've got them in my series. So B and Freddie together again. It's quite amazing with like Big Brother 10 though, that a series that's considered so weak, and I think it was the lowest rated Channel 4 series, managed to have so many big personalities to it, despite it supposedly being one of the worst ever.
Because they were trying so hard to get those viewers, it just wasn't working because people were tired of the format.
And it's a shame as well, because I think a production team that cared about Big Brother 10 with those sort of housemates would have been amazing.
Yeah, they tried in a sort of a stunt way and with casting way, but what they weren't willing to do was to get the money out and really have a good task or a good twist or, a good week of something that would get people back. Instead, they did whatever they could do for cheap. Oh, let's put so-and-so's boyfriend in. Let's get new housemates,
Yeah, and it's a real shame as well. But I mean, like, like people like B, people like Freddie, and there's two others which I've got in my list coming up, which are amazing housemates. And it's a shame it didn't really work with Big Brother 10, but going back to B though, the complexity of the character was just amazing, and I'd love to see that sort of character return again, because I don't think we've had anybody really since that's come close to that sort of complex psychological villain. So Carl's on 11, I'm on 10, Joe's on 10. Joe, you have the next pick.
My next pick is Bonner.
Oh, good lord. Really?
Yeah.
I think we found out.
She's probably got about 5 kids now. Living off benefits.
Yes, you're going to have to explain this one to us, Joe.
Yeah, I just think that... I don't know. I just put him for shits and giggles.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, it'd be interesting to see like an early boot in there, but I mean, there's so many better early boots you can choose, in my opinion. I mean, even first boots. If you want a good first boot, go for Anushka, go for Scary Mary, or
She was it was between Bonner and Scary Mary, and I chose Bonnie.
Yeah, Bonnie was a nice girl and all. She just was just a chav, like, and I don't think she'd even be that now. And if she is, she's the as I say, the
Queen chav.
But I mean, Bonnie was showing up and became an under the radar character in a series like Big Brother 7. How's she going to handle being in the most extreme house potentially ever?
I don't think Joe's house is as extreme as ours. I think his is quite tame.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Bonnie's an interesting one. I'd be interested to see how the audience would take to hearing Bonnie on their list.
Yeah.
My next choice, I've gone for another male. I've managed to balance out the males. So choice number 11 for me is Marcus.
Oh, God damn it! Me as well.
We have pretty much got the same list, Carl.
I know. Carry on.
Like,
Tame, but it's got original people that haven't got other people's.
Yeah, but that again, this is the person I referenced earlier. Imagine the Rex and Marcus team up with Glyn as their sidekick.
Yeah.
That would be absolutely amazing. Because, again, a Marcus like Rex, it's another example of this sort of anti-hero tweener.
The irrepressible dark horse.
The irrepressible dark horse. I think the thing I loved as well about Marcus was that not only was he this sort of like rebel without a cause that like caused loads of grief, but an amazingly hilarious with it. He had a good amount of story arcs as well. I mean, he was Freddie's sidekick for a long time. Him and B sort of had a lot of resentment towards each other. There was a feud with Lisa, the Three Amigos stuff. I loved as well with Marcus as well that there was almost this sensitive side to him. I love the fact that he sort of sold himself as this rebel. I'm the irrepressible dark horse. I'm not going to take to the establishment. In reality, though, he was just this geeky boy. I mean, the way that he was infatuated with Noreen, the way he played with his toys, and
how he blatantly was modelling himself after Wolverine that he claimed he didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great fun, though. I mean, my dad, he follows Big Brother like on the side. He loves Marcus. Marcus is his favourite housemate by a long way. What about you, Carl? You've chosen Marcus as well.
Yeah, absolutely. For all those reasons, I think he's one of those. He's the uncle that we all have, who's the black sheep of the family. Is the awkward person who always hits on girls when he gets drunk and doesn't understand how ugly he is and thinks he's the most attractive man in the world, but he's so awesome at it, and he just thinks he is the shit in every way, and he just so isn't, but he's awesome at doing that.
One of my best memories of Marcus, like on the launch night, because that launch night got a lot of grief, but one of the things that I always loved was, I remember a comment on one newspaper that says, "It says a lot about Big Brother when the housemate that most closely represents the common working class male thinks he's Wolverine."
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Marcus. A great housemate, and I think he'd bring a lot of that fun and a lot of that... Because he was a big ham as well. I mean, he would ham it up big time if he got in there, but that's all part of the fun.
He wanted to be Rex, he wanted to be Victor, that was blatant, but he was good at it.
Arguably, I would say he was better. That's a debatable one, and we'll get back to that.
He spent too long puppying after Noreen for me to be better than those two. I think Victor had his head on straight a bit more.
Well, that's going to be an issue when we get to one of my later choices, but we're going to move on to Joe. Let's see if Joe can redeem himself from his body pick. Who have you chosen next, Joe?
Good luck with that. My next choice is from Big Brother 5, and it's my favourite plate smasher, Ahmed.
Oh, I love Ahmed. Now, you talk about underrated housemates. Ahmed's up there for me as one of the most underrated ones.
Yes.
Because he's just insane.
Exactly.
Who let him in? Who would let Ahmed in the house?
He's
Just
honestly?
people that as in.
Yeah, he's
I
just
hope
this
that-
middle-aged, I guess, older age now, guy who blatantly has anger issues.
Yeah.
One of the things I loved about Ahmed was, I mean, Ahmed maybe wasn't the most relevant housemate there. You could sort of take him out the series for large portions and you wouldn't really lose anything. But when he was in a scene, he absolutely stole the show. Even if he didn't realise it. I mean, one of the things I always love about Fight Night, which nobody ever mentions, is that when you get pulled back into the bedroom and everyone's starting bickering with each other, shouting with each other, Ahmed's just sitting in his bed, arms behind his head, just sitting back, smiling and just watching the whole thing unfold.
Yeah.
Of course, there was the plate smashing. There was when he started smashing up the mannequin. Boot camp task, which is just one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, the flying shoe and all, yeah.
I mean, that's a good choice there, Joe. I do definitely agree with Ahmed. He isn't on my list, but I definitely agree with that one.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Now, my next choice, it's this is a bit of a tricky one with you mentioning that that Marcus puppied over Noreen, because I've gone for Noreen.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You've chosen Noreen as well.
No, but I'm just saying, my God. Just looking up the list, every single one of the males you've got at your house would be wrapped around her finger.
But that's why I love Noreen. I mean, Noreen is a bit controversial because I don't think she was as overtly confrontational as what some of the other females were, what some of the other housemates were. But she is a perfect example of a man-eater. Probably one of the best examples of the flirtatious female that you've ever had in Big Brother history. And I mean, the storyline and the story arc of her manipulating the men, getting all of them to do her own dirty work, whether she intended to do it or not, that was great viewing. A symbolic ending to a story arc with Isaac. I mean, the fact that she had, at one point, 5 men, plus Angel, wrapped around her finger, falling over her, was amazing to watch. If anything, the person she reminds me closely of, if you ever watched Survivor, she's Parvati. She's Parvati from Survivor and Big Brother.
Yes. Yeah.
And I mean, she was absolutely amazing to watch in that regard. And
Who do you think she'd latch onto in this series, out of your picks?
Oh, of the males, it's hard to say because there's no male in my group that's sort of like decidedly alpha. Nobody who's really showmansish. There's someone coming who I think might be able to.
Glyn, maybe.
Glyn, maybe, yes.
Yes.
Glyn could serve. Well, Glyn's gay though.
Yes?
Yeah, Glyn came out. Yeah.
Could have fooled me with Leah's tits in his face, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what scared him.
Oh boy.
I think Alex Sidney might do. I've got someone later on that might be involved with Noreen. Marcus, of course, will obviously be back. Am I right in saying Freddie had a bit of an infatuation with her at all? Or am I just imagining that?
I think Freddie was too busy in his own world at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way that Noreen just manipulated all the men. Also, you need that sort of eye candy in there, and she's going to provide that because she's stunning looking. I hope I can understand why I've chosen Noreen, because I think that was the one I was most unsure about. Anything for you to say, Joe?
No, not really.
I believe we're all on an even playing field now.
Woohoo!
So we're going to let Karl have the opportunity to choose one before we end up doubling up again. So, Karl, who's your choice number 13?
Well, I'm going to go... I put these in order, so I'm going to go back to Big Brother 7. And it was a choice between Daniel Bryan, not yes, Daniel Bryan, and...
good.
Yeah, and this guy, and I went for this guy because I think he was just that little bit more entertaining, and I think he'd still be the same person today, and that's Richard.
Oh, I love Richard. Thank you for choosing Richard. I mean, I haven't chosen him myself, but I do appreciate Richard as a host.
Again, with all the craziness that would be going on in this version, his commentary of it in the diary room would be sublime.
He's one of the best diary room narrators that I can think of, in my opinion.
Yeah, he is. He just put the nail on the head and said it in such a way that was just so entertaining. He was perfect.
But his sarcasm with it though was amazing as well. I mean, Richard had a really great sarky sense of humour that I really appreciated as well. If there's one issue I do have with Richard is that I didn't really sort of buy into his whole daddy bear role. I think he sort of thought to himself, Pete's going to win this. I'm going to latch on to Pete, play dad of the house, and I'm going to get myself a good finish out of it.
Yes.
Maybe, yeah. I definitely think, though, he is the best example of when gay housemates are right. Like, that's the good type of gay housemate, where him and Dan are the type where they're funny with it. They're not over the top and look at me.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I definitely agree there. Have you got anything to say about Richard, Joe?
Actually, he was one of my shortlists. I didn't choose him, but he was on my shortlist for being picked.
Okay. We're gonna move on to you next, Joe. Who's your unlucky 13th?
My unlucky 13th is, oh my god, it's Corin.
Oh, I love Corin. Corin is definitely a great choice for me. But you're gonna have to explain Corin to us.
I've chose Corin because I just think that she was a good character. She was a good friend, a good sidekick to Josie. And
you saw Corin as a sidekick. I saw Corin more as someone against Josie. That's probably one of the main reasons why I liked it.
Well, she was against John James and.
Yeah, I think she's more against John James.
Dickhead.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, she's right. Just going off topic, John James is one of my least favourite housemates ever.
Yeah.
Move on, though. I could spend 5 hours talking about how much I dislike him.
Yeah, but Corin. I just think that she was genuinely funny, genuinely nice. She was just a really nice housemate.
But she was great with it as well. She was entertaining.
Yeah,
and if you've ever seen her do interviews, that is who she is. Like, none of it's an act. She is that dim-witted, but also entertaining with it.
Yeah. It took me a lot of time to get Corin originally. Because I just felt in the early stages, I saw her favourite status, and I just thought, is this really the favourite? She's not offering anything to me. But as the series went on, and she grew, and I warmed to her a lot more, I got Corin. And I definitely understand the choice. She's not on my list, but I definitely understand it.
She's everybody's favourite aunt.
Yes. Actually, she looks a bit like me auntie, I have to be honest. So I found quite scary. But yes, I definitely understand why Corin's being chosen.
Yeah.
My next choice, I'm just going to check my list here. Yes, I'm on 2 males, 2 females to go, so I'm going to add another male to my list. Ben Duncan.
I've got him on my list as well.
So I'll get that down there. 14 for you.
Surprise.
Yeah, snap again. And imagine, again, him, Derek, and in your version, Freddie. Oh, my lord. Like, my version would have Ben and Derek, but you're including frickin' Freddie into that? Sublime. There's your group right there.
Oh,
Tea in the garden, again.
Plotting the demise of everybody. Ben is, in my eyes, the funniest housemate ever. He was so self-unaware. He was so aloof. The perfect example, in my opinion, of the fish out of water top.
Yes.
I mean, he had no social tact whatsoever. And I mean, he was hilarious with it. He was one of the few people who took on John James and Josie, which, as I mentioned, earned you a million brownie points for me. And he was deluded with it, because you could tell, I mean, it's obvious Ben went in there to try and boost her celebrity career. But his lack of self-awareness is just amazing to watch. It was hilarious. It's some of his facial expressions and witticisms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great comedy for me.
Yeah, they could have chosen a better guy to jump out of bed during the Terminator task. That just kind of, oh my god, that robot and all. But the best moment, of course, was when he did the military.
He star jumps.
Yeah, and he was like, so you're not going to do it? And you're going to let somebody else do it for you? Yes.
Yeah.
and he thought, I'm tired, I didn't want to do it, I just want to lay in the sun. God, what's everybody's problem? It says it all, really. Again, he would be, again, I could almost see in my head, sort of, you can imagine in the house, in my version, there'd be Science and Charlie going at each other, and then you just cut to the quiet outside, and there's him and Derek just sitting back, shaking their heads.
Yes, exactly.
Drinking
him and
tea.
Derek.
And just commenting.
Yeah, I could definitely see him and Derek together, like, as a group.
Arguably, though, I mean, I know he's my choice, and I love Ben, and I love that. But the fact we've got Ben, Freddie, and Derek, who are pretty much the same character.
That's why I didn't pick Freddie, because too much of the same thing, kind of thing.
But Ben is a fantastic choice for me. And you didn't choose Ben. Is there any reason why not, Joe?
Once again, I overlooked him. I didn't think of Ben, honestly.
And yet you thought of Bonnie.
Obviously, obviously here Joe is the casual audience.
Yeah.
That you know, you choose people who you want to have a nice, happy but entertaining house.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna move on. Joe, you're gonna get the chance to knock us out the ballpark. Here's choice number 14 for you.
Choice number 14, and it really will knock it out of the ballpark, is Big Brother 4's winner, Cameron. What?
I want to hear this one.
What? What's so bad about Cameron?
Ultimate Big Brother, Bonnie and Cameron.
Nothing wrong with that, Joe. You can go ahead. Try and convince us.
Alright, I'll try. Cameron, he was just such a great housemate, honestly.
What did he do? Other than go to Africa.
Go to Africa and make some nasty comments about Lisa James. That's it.
It's more than that, though. It's just little things he said here and there that was funny.
For example?
Don't put me on the spot like that. I can't think. But no, I just think Cameron, he was alright. I think I've made it more of a heroes and villains house, and Cameron's one of my heroes.
Who's your villains?
Bonnie. No. Cat. I don't know. Stop it. Shush.
Yeah. We'll move on, though. I'm sure there will be Cameron fans, and they'll defend him on...
You've got your Cameron army behind you.
Yeah. I'm going to move on to a controversial choice of my own. And believe me, this is controversial, because I know people who love this guy. I know people who cannot abide this guy.
What is it? Controversial? Who?
It's Aaron.
Ah. Right.
I mean, I cannot think of any other winner or any other housemate that has divided the audience in the way that Aaron did.
Yep, he's on my list as well.
He's on your list as well.
Oh, for God's sake, can anyone have any original ideas?
Maybe we should have talked about that, but it shows how in sync all of us are. But I cannot think of any other housemate that's been able to control a series single-handedly in the way that Aaron did. If you look at any major storyline of Big Brother 12, be it that love square between him, Maisie, Faye, and Tom, whether it was the feud between him and Anton, the stuff with Jem and Faye, which basically revolved around him, the showmancers, the bickering, everything came around Aaron.
Yeah, he was the driving force that made that show entertaining, and I also think with him, I know he's become a twat since he's come out, because he's been like, you know, Big Brother sucks because all the people are committing suicide. No, they're not. But my thing with him was he could play a hero or a villain depending on how he is that week. Like, he could be the manipulative villain, but he could also be a nice guy. So it's either way, I think you'd get something intriguing as to whether he'd be the real person or not.
And that's one of the main things that intrigues me about Aaron, and one of the reasons why I like him as well, is that still to this day I cannot read him.
I don't know what was real, what wasn't real, if that really is him, if he's still putting on in interviews, but who knows?
Exactly, that's why I love him for it. I mean, was he this? Would the people like him because he was the only sensible housemate of a very Tweed-orientated Big Brother 12? Did people like him because he was a strategist? I find that he's so hard to read, but that's what makes him so interesting to me.
Like, I'd like him, but then he'd like overreact to things and just go and sit on the stairs and sulk. But I think that was him being manipulative, though. So
in my eyes, he was the only winner of the eligible choices that I even considered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's on my list as well. So, Karl, you're on 15. Me and Joe are on 14. Karl, to try and avoid doubling up, we're going to let you have your final pick.
Final?
You're only on 15. You're only on 14. Oh, so we're on 14. I'll let you have pick number 15 then.
Okay, yeah. Yes, my... hang on, have I counted wrong? Because I've got 3 left.
You've only got 3. You've got 3 left.
Yeah, how many people have I picked? Count them.
I'm trying to... I've got it down as 15, so you should have 1 pick left.
Oh, okay. Did I count? Hang on, let me count my thing. Go with yours. I'm going to count my list.
My next choice is one of my last females, and I've gone for Dina of Big Brother 13. Again, this is another housemate which, in my eyes, broke stereotypes in the way that Alex did and the way that Anna did. Well, I saw Dina on launch night, and I just saw her as just another model. This is May Soon. This is just somebody who's going to be a pretty face and do nothing with it. And yet she broke that massively and became one of the most rootable, supportive and likeable characters of Big Brother 13 as a series. The battle which she had against Connor and the Insiders, we supported her for it massively, but also once she had that benchmark of support with her, she did loads with it. She was snarky, she was funny, she wound people up. The way she wound up Luke after he got the golden ticket to the final.
Press the button faster. That was our best moment.
But I mean, stuff like that. I mean, winding up when she wound up Luke on the box, saying that he was a robot. I am a robot. My name is Luke.
Yeah.
Great fun. I mean, the way she wound up people, very snarky sense of humour, great fun, bit of a wind-up merchant, and she showed commendable resilience against adversity. Let's be honest, all the outsiders did that, yeah. I think she's definitely worth supporting. In my eyes, she should have won that series.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that I think it was an underrated show, and I think she was an underrated character in the show. Yeah. But anyway, I've counted up my thing, and I do have 16. I think you may have counted people that I agreed with you picking, but I didn't pick them myself. I didn't pick Freddie.
Yeah.
He's not on my list, and I did not pick who else was it? Noreen. Those I didn't pick. I just said they were your good picks.
Yeah. And I think instead you chose Richard, and who was the other one?
Okay, let me tell you the ones I've done so far, and then I'll count them up. Alison, that's 1. Science, 2. Derek, 3. Ashleen, Grace, Richard, Glyn, Charlie, Rex, Marcus, B, Ben, and Aaron. That's all I've picked so far.
That sounds about right. So
I've got 3 left.
Yes, you have.
Okay.
And we're gonna count off one of yours, Carl. Who was it?
I'm gonna go for a character who I think could have been so much more had it not been for the stuff that happened in the house and had she not been stupid and walked. I'm gonna go ahead with Shabby.
Shabby, that's a good choice. That is a good choice.
Yes, definitely.
A person who went early, who I think could have been much more, and I think just became a villain because of who she was associated with and the way the show portrayed her. And I think that had she been given a better light, a better portrayal, and I think if she'd been around different people and she'd had her head on straight and not decided to walk at the first sign of trouble, I think she could have been a great character.
I think she was a great character for the short time that she was there.
Yeah, let's see more of it.
Yeah, I mean the relationship between her and Kiefer, maybe it was a bit Anthony and Craig copying off them, but that was good entertainment. That was good storyline for me.
Yeah, it's just a bit cringeworthy at times for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Good fun though, and I mean I definitely got round to supporting Shabby by the time that it came to her departure. Because once again, she was one of the few people that really seemed to stand up for the pecking order within the house and the control that John James and Josie did.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that choice. She's not on my list. I've got one more choice to make, but I'm going to save that for a bit so we can get everyone on track. Joe, I believe you're on 14 choices, so knock us out the ballpark. Who's number 15?
Number 15, I don't know which one to choose now, because I've got 2 really good ones. I know. Okay, and my number 15 is from Big Brother 8, and it's Laura. Laura Williams.
Okay, continuing with the outside choices. Explain Laura to us.
I just think Laura was really nice and generally a kind person and quite a good housemate. She was funny. She had her funny moments.
Or as some people would call her, Fat Helen.
Thank you.
all I seem to remember about Laura is her in a dressing gown all the time.
Yeah.
She slept nearly all day.
Monster foot slippers.
Yeah, I mean, Laura's not. I mean, I didn't even. I mean, I would do this list 5 times, 5 different groups of people, and then I probably might consider Laura.
Ultimate Big Brother 14.
Yeah.
Well, that's my choice anyway. I think it's a good choice.
Oh, you're entitled to your choice, Joe. And
Fight for your corner, don't just back down.
Yes, Joe.
I'm a snarky bastard, but fight me.
That's what forums do. They argue with each other, Joe.
Alright, I think Laura was brilliant. I think she was caring to Carol, your best mate.
That just makes her even worse to me. I'm sorry.
I know you love Carol.
Bitch.
But yeah, anyway, yeah. Lisa, ta-da. I've saved the best for last.
Who's your last choice?
I'm going to tell you later.
Okay. Now, I believe Carl's now on 14, so he's a bit behind us. So, Carl?
Okay.
Number 15.
Mine is also from the Outsiders at 13, but I think she was... Dina was more entertaining at times, but I think this person could have won had it not been for what happened. Lauren.
I like Lauren. I definitely like Lauren, yes.
She was just so likable. That she was really good looking, plus the fact that she had that really down to earth, boyish personality, and when you spoke to her, she just came across as a really nice, down to earth girl, and you could get behind her as a good guy because she wasn't putting it on. She was just like, you know what, screw you people, I'm sick of being treated like shit, go to hell.
Definitely. I like that about Laura as well. She really got screwed over, in my opinion.
By the face-to-face, yeah.
And the editing as well. I felt they really tried to edit the stuff between her and Adam.
They wanted a showmance that was never going to happen.
One of the things I always found quite interesting with that was that it was very close between her and Luke to go that week. And of course, Luke goes on to win. If Lauren survived that week, firstly, do the Outsiders keep as a strong unit? And does Lauren win?
I think they would, because I think Dina was that backbone. At least for a long time, and I think that Lauren would have won, and I think that she would have been a more deserving winner than Luke.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I'd like Lauren. I definitely have a soft spot for Lauren. Maybe not all-star worthy, in my opinion, but I definitely support her. I definitely do.
I just wanted somebody from 13 in there to represent, and I've got enough. I needed another good guy.
Yes.
I haven't got many.
I've just gone for dicks, let's be honest. But we're all leaving. We've all got our final choices. We're gonna go to you first, Joe. Who is your final pick?
My final pick is drumroll. Greedy Mo.
Who?
Greedy Mo.
Mohammed from Big Brother 9.
Greedy Mo, whose only claim to fame was eating another housemate's bogey.
Ew.
And getting spat at by Dennis.
So you okay? He's basically you didn't choose Rex, but you chose Rex's sidekick. Interesting choice. Yours is like the Teen Titans house.
I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion, Joe. But I never thought to myself. Oh, do you know who would make a great housemate? That guy from Big Brother 9 who nobody liked, nobody supported, and
I liked him.
Bogies.
He had a good moment during the fight. When he was being really, really played in a bad light, and then he was just getting really upset because he was being treated so badly. That was a good moment for him.
No, that was a good moment, yeah. But I mean, if you wanted someone from Big Brother 9 who was maybe a bit of a left field choice, then go for someone like Mario or Lisa or Darnell. Someone like that.
I almost chose Luke, but.
No, Darnell was another one on my shortlist. I wish I'd chosen now, actually.
Oh, don't feel pressured by us because of your decisions, Joe. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I think you made some good choices.
Yeah, we're not a forum. We're not going to shout you down for your opinions. I'm looking at
Twitter
you forums. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Joe's 16 done. And we're going to move on to me. I'm going to let Carl have the final say. My final choice is Gina Rio.
God damn it! Go on.
We've chosen the same person.
Yep. Because it came down to her or Derek, and I needed another woman.
Yeah, I love Gina. Again, it's another transformation. It's another story arc. I love the fact that Gina went from probably one of the most blatant first boots of all time to nearly going on and winning the whole thing. She was thoroughly entertaining. She was snarky. I love that diva-ish attitude. She was almost like a cross between Derek and Nikki Graham in a sort of bravado.
Yeah.
And again, it was like Charlie, when she did lose her temper and she did get involved in arguments, I mean the Hazel feud especially, she was just too ridiculous to ever take seriously. She was just fun and over the top with it.
Or when she was sitting there telling her to her face how she hated her.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah.
She was brilliant.
She was a great cartoon character for me. I'll let you go, Carl.
Completely put on at times, but so good at doing what she did. And again, she's already friends with Ben. As I found out on one of the live feeds this year, she started talking about him to the others. So she already knows him. And then her, plus him, plus Derek in my one. Enough said.
Absolutely great housemate for me. But I believe that's everybody's cast. So just to remind everyone, will everyone recap on who they chose? We'll start with you, Joe.
I've chosen for the male, Craig, Marco, Glyn, Pete, John, Ahmed, and Cameron and Mohammed. And for the ladies, Helen, Kat, Alison, Kitten, Kinga, Bonnie, Laura, and Corinne.
Yep, and next to you, Carl?
Okay, let me go back. Alison, Science, Derek, Ashleen, Grace, Richard, Glyn, Charlie, Rex, Marcus, B, Shabby, Ben, Aaron, Lauren, and Gina.
Yeah. And my final choices were Alex Sibley, Derek Lord, Science, Rex Newmark, Freddie Fisher, Marcus Aiken, Ben Duncan, Aaron Allard Morgan for the males, and for the females, Anna Nolan, Helen Adams, Ashleen Horgan-Wallace, Charlie Uchia, B. Hamill, Noreen Kelly, Dina Rapal, and Gina Rio. And one final question for everybody before we start to wrap this up. Who do you think would have been the first boot of your series, and who do you think would have ended up winning it? And we'll start with you, Joe.
I think first boot would probably be Bonnie.
Again.
Bonnie or Kitten. And the winner, oh god, that's so difficult. Such a mixed bag. I'd probably say Alison or John.
I could see Alison winning.
Alison or John Tickle.
Yep.
Honestly.
What about you, Carl?
My first boot would probably, just out of hate, would probably be Charlie. And my winner, I think, would... I'm looking stop. I think my winner would be Ashleen, for the fact that I think she'd be on the good side, and I think she'd also be popular.
Yeah. I'm going to share the same sentiment, and I think Charlie will probably be the first boot. I think she's too over the top to ever integrate herself into the house. The crowd are going to be obviously against her. She's going to be our pretty much first time she's nominated. For my winner, I could see Alex Sibley winning it. I think there's a lot of people from Big Brother 3 who supported him and liked him. I think Aaron might stand a chance depending on how the edit goes. If it shows sulky Aaron, I think he'll have more chance. I think Dina might stand a chance as well.
But she didn't win against the people she was against, Frickin' Sam won. Yeah. I don't know about Alex, because I don't know whether the people who watched the show back then are still watching. I think the turnover, there's us who got into it, either late that era and really got into it during the Evil era, people who got into it during the Evil era that have grown up and still watch it, and then there's people who have kind of just got into it in the last few years, like 5 or so.
But then again, you can make the argument Brian Dowling won Ultimate Big Brother 1.
True, okay.
Yeah. But I think these hypothetical casts, it's unfortunate that something like this will never happen. Because you look at some of these casts, these sound absolutely amazing. And we'd love to hear your opinions on who you would cast. Commenting on the YouTube pages. But unfortunately, ladies and gents, that's all we've got time for today. We've really enjoyed making this show. We've enjoyed making our list. We've enjoyed the banter.
Definitely.
Talking about our lists. But as I said, That's all we've got time for. We wish you a very Merry Christmas. My name's been Karl Bainbridge. That's been Joseph Tilley.
Cookie!
And that's been Karl Dutton.
Bye.
Thank you very much for listening, ladies and gents. And we'll see you again later. Bye-bye for
Merry
now.
Christmas.
Laters.